competition with the guy blowing over there. Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah, okay. My name's Diane Belsom, and I'm the founder and president of Lawrence County Tea Party. And I'd like to thank everyone for coming out today for our press conference. The purpose of this press conference is for Tea Party and Liberty leaders to announce our endorsement and support for State Senator Lee Bright for the position of U.S. Senator replacing Lindsey Graham. We are also releasing an extensive list of endorsements from leaders and members of the majority of Tea Party and Liberty groups in South Carolina. I do want to clarify that we are not endorsing on behalf of the organizations we represent, but are instead offering our own personal endorsements. We are here today because Lindsey Graham must go, and Senator Bright is our clear choice as his replacement. Senator Lindsey Graham epitomizes the career politician who has long overstayed his welcome and is out of touch with his constituents. He has conspired as part of the Gang of Eight to push an immigration bill down our throats which will grant amnesty to an estimated 11 million illegal aliens. He voted for liberal Supreme Court Justices Sotomayor and Kagan, while our true conservative senator, Jim DeMint, voted no. He supported plunging the U.S. into a civil war in Syria, and he failed to support Senator Ted Cruz's courageous efforts to defund Obamacare in spite of the South Carolina GOP Executive Committee passing a resolution asking him to do so. To date, Graham has been censured by Republican Party groups in 7 counties. Fortunately, an excellent replacement is on the horizon, State Senator Lee Bright. It is rare that we have the choice of such an outstanding candidate whose words are backed up by his courageous actions and conservative voting record. Senator Bright supports Tea Party values of lower taxes, limited government, more freedom, and following our Constitution. Known as the most conservative member of the South Carolina State Senate, he has been a leader in fighting to block the implementation of Obamacare in South Carolina and an opponent of Common Core, both of which are examples of extreme intrusion by the federal government into our private lives, resulting in less choice and less freedom. He is a strong defender of our Constitution and our Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. Senator Bright has a 100% lifetime rating from Club for Growth and an A rating from the NRA. It is my pleasure today to endorse Senator Lee Bright as our next U.S. Senator, and I'd like to welcome him to the podium now.
I want to thank everybody for being here and standing with me today. You know, in politics, you have folks that a lot of times say they're with you, and a lot of times they're with you winter time. But today we got folks that drove to Columbia willing to stand with me to stand for liberty and freedom. Freedom is never free. We have to be eternally vigilant. This race is about the future of America.
Amen. That's right.
If we can't beat Lindsey Graham in South Carolina and provide a true conservative to the U.S. Senate, there's no hope for other states like Illinois, like Michigan. I mean, you think about it. South Carolina, here we are in the buckle of the Bible Belt. If we can't elect a true conservative that's going to stand on principles like the right to life,
Amen.
like the right to bear arms, and like the right to keep our own earnings. I mean, this evil of the income tax is absolutely out of control. We need to drive a death knell through it.
That's right.
The IRS is out of control.
That's right.
And now when you listen and hear what's going on, I don't know how many of you are aware today, but on Napolitano, Judge Napolitano was talking about the fact the FCC is going to start looking into broadcasters.
Yep.
I mean, the media ought to be horrified of this.
Amen.
Every amendment in the Bill of Rights is under assault, and where is Lindsey Graham?
Amen.
Is he standing against Obama?
No.
I don't think so. It's politics as usual for Lindsey Graham. We need a true conservative that's going to fight the fight. I've been doing it for 6 years in the South Carolina Senate. I'll continue to do it in the U.S. Senate. And I want to thank these people for standing here with me today and making the drive, and it's just an honor to be with them. And I appreciate y'all coming out today, but this is going to be a long fight. It's not going to be easy. We're going to be outspent tremendously. It's kind of an us versus them strategy. Those folks in D.C., and keep in mind this, 7 of the 10 wealthiest counties in the country are suburban Washington, D.C. There are 2 Americas. There's us and there's them. And let me tell you this, we will not bring recovery to the United States till we bring recession to Washington.
Amen.
And you're never going to do that. You're never going to do that with a U.S. Senator that's going to give you 6 months of conservatism. You deserve 6 years, and I will give you 6 full years. You won't see me at election time pretending to be a conservative. You'll see me standing as conservative for 6 full years. So I thank you for being here, and God bless you. God bless America.
All right, I'd like to introduce our next speaker. It's Talbert Black, State Coordinator for Campaign for Liberty.
Thanks, Diane. I'll be very brief. I am the coordinator for Campaign for Liberty, and it's an honor to be here with all these folks. I just want to make it clear that Campaign for Liberty does not endorse candidates or get involved in elections, so the organization is neutral, but of course I personally do, and I'm very happy to endorse Senator Lee Bright for U.S. Senate. In fact, it puts me in a position that I rarely find myself, which is saying something good about a sitting politician. I only half-jokingly tell folks that if you can't say something bad about a politician, then don't say anything at all, because politicians are very good come re-election time at pointing out all the great things they want to do. And for most politicians, all they can do is talk about what they want to do, because they haven't actually done anything in the halls of Congress worth bragging about back home. But I can honestly say, never have I had to call Senator Bright out for standing on the wrong side. In fact, he's actually done a lot worth bragging about. That's why I'm completely comfortable standing here for him.
Amen.
That's right.
We don't have to wonder if he will hold strong under the withering fire of his big government colleagues, because we already know that he does. When we send a new senator to Washington next year, we need someone who, when we look at their past action, we can see clearly what their future holds.
Amen.
That's right.
Senator Graham talks about being conservative, yet he voted to confirm Elena Kagan and Sonia Sotomayor for Supreme Court justices, 2 extremely liberal judges. Senator Bright is the only candidate that has the proven record that shows his ability and determination to fight for the values that we hold most dear. While Senator Graham had no clue what Common Core is, Senator Bright has consistently fought for and voted for educational freedom and opposed top-down government control approaches like Common Core. Senator Graham claims to support our right to keep and bear arms, yet he voted for and supports expanded background checks, setting up the mechanism for gun registration, which is just a precursor to gun confiscation. Senator Bright has consistently fought and voted to protect our own right to self-defense. He sponsored, fought for, and voted for constitutional carry, a bill that would secure the Second Amendment rights of all law-abiding South Carolina citizens. He acts as if the Second Amendment means exactly what it says. As Patrick Henry said, I can only judge the future by my past experience, and past experience tells me that Lee Bright will not disappoint us as our next U.S. Senator. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dee Dee Waters. She's the chairman of the South Carolina Business Owners Association, a former Republican nominee, and a member of Aiken Tea Party.
Thank you. It is a bright day in South Carolina. As you just heard, I am the chairman of the South Carolina Business Owners Association, not the Chamber of Commerce.
That's right.
Why? Why do I think Lindsey Graham should go? Because you deserve better. The business community deserves better, and the taxpayer deserves better. I will have you know that under Graham and another Republican from Alabama by the name of Shelby are the 2 reasons, the only 2 reasons we do not have tort reform at a national level. Under President Bush, not my favorite president, but under Bush, who was supportive of tort reform at the national level, we had the House, and all we needed was the super majority in the Senate. And Graham, once again, let us down. Since that time, which was very early on in his days in the Senate, he has done very little to improve my opinion of him. And in fact, to date, he has voted with Obama more than 50% of the time. This from a red state? This is the best we have to offer South Carolina? I think not. It is time for Lee Bright to enter the U.S. Senate and to represent a truly conservative red state. Lee is a small business owner. He gets it. He understands the Republican creed, which so many other Republicans or rhinos currently do not. The creed that says, I will never barter incentive for dole. Lee Bright has consistently voted against giving tax incentives to big business on the backs of small business. That's called crony capitalism, folks. That's not free market capitalism. That's not what this country was founded on. You have the same businesses that are taking corporate welfare out there screaming for welfare reform. It doesn't change just because you're a business owner. Free market capitalism is what this country was founded on, and again, exactly what Lee has supported with his voting record while in the South Carolina Senate. Lee also realizes that 80% of the jobs in this country are created by small businesses, not the government. The government doesn't create jobs. Government kills business with their onerous regulations and egregious taxes, and in fact prevents job creation. Lee knows what it's like to worry if you've got enough money in the bank on Friday to make payroll, because that's the plight of a small business owner. You have to worry, is it going to be there? And Lee, much like myself, has waited a week or two to cash his own paycheck so his employees' paychecks don't bounce. That's what this country is founded on, those types of principles. The small business owner gets it, so why doesn't Lindsey Graham? Lee has dealt with overreaching regulations. He's dealt with the taxes faced by the business owners. And Lee has earned the award of Friend of the Taxpayer. He simply gets it. Diane has already said he has a 100% lifetime rating for the Club for Growth. He's got the voting record to support free market capitalism instead of crony capitalism. And Lee has earned the trust and support of the small business community in this state. Today, I am proud to give him my personal endorsement and full support as chairman of the South Carolina Business Owners Association. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Lee Evans, chairman of Sumter Tea Party.
Good morning, folks. I am endorsing Lee Bright that Sumter Tea Party cannot and will not, but personally I am, and there's many reasons. Lindsey Graham, a lot of things have been mentioned about him where we have problems with him. The ones that were not mentioned, he's a strong supporter of NSA spying upon us. In 2011, the defense bill, he was a strong supporter of the law in that allows federal government to arrest and detain any American citizen without charges and without due process. That to me is anything but a conservative. And it's about time we had a strong conservative in the Senate. I have heard personally Lindsey Graham make the statement that when we elected him to do what he thinks is best in the Senate, he's not there to do what we think is the best.
Amen.
That to me is very, very disturbing.
Yeah, it is.
So I am personally supporting and endorsing Lee Bright. This is a personal decision. He's got a proven record.
Amen.
He's honest. The man has integrity.
Amen.
If you ask him a question, look him in the eye, he'll look you in the eye back and answer you. That, for many politicians, is rare.
Amen.
So again, I am endorsing Lee Bright.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. Yeah.
Okay, and our next speaker will be Diane Hardy from Greenville Tea Party.
Good morning. A little over 25 years ago, I came to South Carolina not knowing a soul. I arrived with a college degree and $200. Back in the 80s, that, along with some hard work, was all I needed to begin a successful career. I took it for granted that in the future my children would have the same opportunities. To say that I was oblivious to what had been happening in our government would be an understatement. Later, as a mother of 3, with a busy daily life, like most people, I assumed that other people were watching what was going on with our government and our country. Reality has finally hit me. I so regret that I have not been more vigilant over the years. I now realize that we are the employers of the government. It is our job to hire, by election, the very best people to fill these positions. That is why I have become a very active member of my Tea Party. Waking up to the reality of the corruption in our State House and in Washington, D.C. has been difficult to realize. A sad but necessary journey. Part of that journey included my visit to the State House for the first time in 2012. I came to Columbia for the Obamacare hearings, and while I was here, I sat in on the hearings for constitutional carry. I didn't know any of the senators speaking, but I noticed that there was one on the end that seemed like a real fighter. I asked someone his name because I wanted to remember who he was, and they told me his name was Senator Lee Bright. It turns out, in this case, my gut instinct was right. I have here a copy of the Greenville Tea Party scorecard. This green represents votes to decrease spending, and the red represents votes blocking those decreases in spending. And as you can see, there is way too much red. But up at the top is Senator Lee Bright. He's all green. And it's not just the Greenville Tea Party scorecard, but the South Carolina Club for Growth has a category called Taxpayer Heroes in the Senate. First on their list, Senator Lee Bright. But in the bigger picture, beyond spending, if we want someone to protect our constitutional rights, then I believe Lee Bright is the best choice. As we all know, our country is at a crossroads. I have learned the hard way that it's not what politicians say. What really matters is how they vote.
Amen.
If our children are going to have the opportunities that I had as a young woman, then in Washington, we need senators like Lee Bright.
That's right.
With character, with commitment to individual freedom. I will continue to do what I can to help him to get to the U.S. Senate, because I believe now, more than ever, Lee Bright is just what this state and this country needs.
Amen. That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah, amen.
And our next speaker is Jesse Graston. He is a grassroots activist and a statewide leader in the fight to stop Obamacare.
Hey folks, I can't tell you how proud I am to stand up here today to endorse Senator Lee Bright, because every day that the senator comes to this state house, he's standing up for each one of us, fulfilling the very first thing that he's sworn oath to do. He's a champion of our Constitution. He has never once voted for a piece of legislation that would break that oath. The track record is incredible, and I just can't tell you, come June 10th, when we go to the voting booth, that we don't find ourselves, I really hope, my sincere prayer is that we don't find ourselves living in the United States of amnesia, because Senator Lindsey Graham's track record is so dismal. How many times has he broken his promise to uphold, and protect, and defend the Constitution? It's very clear. It's about track record here. And there's a lot of other challengers in this race right now. But again, as we're comparing Senator Lindsey Graham's dismal track record, we need to find somebody that has a proven track record of fulfilling his oath to office. How much more could we ask for? Not too often does a gift like Senator Lee Bright come our way. When we come to the voting booth, South Carolina, I really want you to take a deep look into our future, because Senator Lee Bright not only has a proven track record, but he's a devout man of God.